everybody, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 21 of History's Greatest Idiots, the show where we go back through all of human history and bring you examples of colossal, idiotic mistakes made by terrible, stupid people so you can learn lessons from their mistakes and never repeat them yourselves. But who are we kidding? We're humans, and mistakes are part of our very fabric and nature, and we'll be talking about a bunch of them today. And, wow, that might be the smoothest introduction I've ever done for this show.
Nailed it.
I know, and I just fucking cocked it up there by talking over it. So anyway, joining me as ever is my dear friend and amazing co-host, Derek. Derek, how are you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm over here staying dry in the desert that's all flooded.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Is that all of Arizona, or like just the deserty bits?
Just the flooded bits. I mean, it flooded downtown and the west side, and then in the mining town of Globe out east of here.
Shit, what were they mining out there?
I think there's copper and stuff out there, but mostly it's just an old town up on the mountain. But there's waterfalls and stuff out there, and now there's waterfalls in the Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Right in the frozen food aisle. Perfect.
Yeah.
You know? Why go to the walk out into the desert when you can see it in your local Walmart parking lot? That's pretty interesting.
It's scary though. It's kind of dangerous. I guess it was unfortunate. Some people passed away from it, but you know, flash floods, dangerous.
Really scary.
Avoid those.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can, stay indoors.
And up high.
Safe. Yeah, up high.
Climb a tree.
Yeah, probably not in the desert though, because you'll be joined by all of the desert denizens, and they'll give you a good old biting. So
don't climb cactuses.
Yeah, don't do that. That would not be a good thing. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. And we were talking about this because like you've had very kind of a dry. I mean, it's the desert; it's always dry, so the water can't soak into the ground and drain away, and it just fucking forms it's like the world's most dangerous lazy river, basically. Just slowly pulling away all of the cars and tow trucks and stuff like that. Really kind of cool day here as well. Just a nice slow day. I went to a National Trust site near us called Moseley Old Hall, and it's like the National Trust in the UK is like an institution where they've taken over like a lot of the stately homes and the old manor houses and stuff like that, and historic sites, and you pay like a yearly fee. I think it's like £80 or something like that, and you can get into all of these places for free and use all of the facilities for free, and it's a pretty good deal. You can even buy a lifetime membership for like £3,000 or something, which you know, if you get it young enough, that's a decent deal.
Yeah, so that's not an unfair price if you're young.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're
like
like
80, in your 20s. Yeah, if you're 80, like every day, maybe stick to the yearly thing. Yeah, you might get 10 years out of it. But we were there, and I was reminded that this place, because it's like a lot of stately homes and stuff where people think of Downton Abbey, but actually it's smaller than that and much older than that. And one of the reasons we went there, it's a great place to take the dog for a walk. There's loads of like parks and country around it, but also it's got a load of history. It's got a priest hole, and I looked inside this priest hole, and yeah.
I'm a child.
I know. I'm not a Boston journalist. I work for the Globe. No, so they have a priest hole, and this is something that a lot of people won't know, even in English history. So during the Reformation, when you know Catholicism and Protestants were at each other's throats, being a Catholic priest was a very dangerous thing to be. It's kind of like being Korean in Virginia. Or wherever that factory was. So
is it Georgia?
Georgia. Sorry to besmirch you, Virginia. How dare I do that? So when a lot of these priests were on the run, they were hiding from persecution. So the sympathetic stately homes, because they were all like weirdly built, and they all had like gaps and voids and stuff in the building because just kind of cobbled together and thrown together, they would like like the walls would have like a secret door or something, or the floors would have a hole in them, and it would be secret. And the priest, whenever the authorities would come around looking for, Catholics to persecute, they'd stick the priests in these holes. Laugh again. And this one particular priest hole was stuffed with the king, or by the king, or with the king. So yeah, King Charles, not the current King Charles.
Oh, okay.
King Charles was bundled inside a priest hole. Yeah, really tight squeeze as well.
Jeez, what is happening here?
I know. And I got to see where the king was stuffed, and I couldn't go into the priest hole, but it looked cozy and inviting. So, yeah. It looked. Apparently, it's big enough to get a duvet in, so you could really hunker down in there for the night and get cozy. Maybe take a book in.
So you could get in there with a duvet.
You could get in there with a duvet, lie down. I just hope he didn't snore, because if the authorities were hanging around, they'd have heard him through the walls, because the walls are thin, but you can hide in there. It's a lot of the specific hiding places are kind of like, you can maybe, like, you're pressed up. There's maybe like a void of like 1.5 foot or something like that, maybe like 18, 20 inches or something like that. So you're really squeezed in there. But this is quite cozy. Like, you could get a bed in there. He could actually stand up at one point of it, so he could stretch his legs, so he's not crammed in there. So yeah, the king hung out in there, and then the authorities came around and couldn't find him, and then he was spirited out of the country for a while until he was restored to the throne. But yeah, there was a hole that had been filled by numerous priests as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Hole filled by priests and kings.
Yes, it was a well-used hole. Very, very accommodating. Yeah, we've definitely been demonetized now.
Yeah. Well,
so
we don't make any money anyway.
We don't make any money from YouTube anyway. But if you go over to Spotify and watch us, we make decent money-ish. Like half a day's pay if you go and watch us over on Spotify. Our videos are over there. And also, while we're on the subject, if you want to go over to Patreon and support us, you can go over to patreon.com/historiesgreatestidiots and support us along with our wonderful paying patrons such as Jesse Christ, Kimberly, Andrew Zavara, Dilly Bob, Silent Crisis, Carrion, Suzanne, and Toasterzoid, all of them supporting us. And thank you all so much for being wonderful, loyal patrons. And we also have a new method. If you don't want to subscribe to our Patreon and receive the annual gift and the monthly recordings and the behind-the-scenes footage of our lives and history stuff that we visit and scripts and all that wonderful stuff, you can drop us now a one-off payment over on buymeacoffee.com/historiesgreatestidiots. And we opened that specifically because someone who follows us on Instagram called Ben wanted to donate some money, and he donated us, a not unsubstantial amount of money. So thank you so much, Ben, for that wonderful donation.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, good guy. And as a result of that, I thought it was only fair, given that he'd slung us so much doubloons, that we should cover someone that he'd been interested in. And I've been talking to him for a while, and he was like, you should cover this person. And I was like, okay, I've never heard of them. Who are they? And that's usually the most interesting people when you haven't heard of them, and then you read the story and you're like, oh shit. And that's exactly my response when I read what was going on.
Nice.
So, yeah. So let me tell you the story of Melissa Caddick, the financial genius of Australia, or someone who really should not be jogging on beaches and definitely isn't anymore. We'll get to that in a bit. It gets kind of dark. So, Melissa Louise Grimley was born on April 21st, 1971. So she's about 10 years older than us.
Okay.
When she was, and grew up in Lugano, a southern suburb of Sydney. A lot of Australian cities are quite sprawling because it's such a fucking inhospitable place that you kind of live around the major hubs unless you're in Alice Springs. So,
okay.
Yes.
I can relate. That's how Arizona is. It's sprawling because you can't,
you can't live out in the desert. There's one town in Australia, right in the middle of the country, where they live in caves still.
Really?
Yes, they have a vast network of cave systems, houses that are interconnected or underground, essentially, because they're so cool and they're so well ventilated. So these Australian people live in these lovely, termite mounds, essentially, and they do really well out there. So
Bet you that Norman Bell Geddes guy would like that.
yeah, he would. If you're like designing cities, yeah, I can make everything like a termite, and then only the white people can breed. So yeah, he was a bit obsessed with eugenics. So Melissa Louise Grimley was born on April 21st, 1971, and grew up in Lugano, a southern suburb of Sydney. After graduating from high school, Caddick enrolled in a secretarial and business administration course at Patrick's College, Australia, in Sydney. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a secretarial course. Plenty of successful people start off in administration. The problem comes when you later claim to have financial degrees from really prestigious universities, and then try and pass yourself off as a financial tycoon or genius, like this person's about to do.
Interesting.
At least, yeah. I mean, Pam from The Office went to fucking art school, at least. So no need to lie about shit like that. But it's interesting because this happens a lot. There was a former health minister in Wales who took it upon themselves, I won't mention names or even genders, to reformat all of Wales's health institutions and kind of combine them all into different authorities and stuff. And that person kept saying, I used to work in banking. I was in banking. I know how large organizations work, and I can help you reformat them. It turns out they were a bank teller. So, yeah.
Well, that's the same. That's banking.
It is in banking. It's not quite what they were leading people to believe.
It's transferable experience. It's customer service. It's thinking about money.
It is, and handling money, and occasionally sniffing the money, and getting paper cuts from the money. Yes, and that means that you are, successfully going to reformat hundreds of billions of dollars worth of financial and health institutions across an entire country. Yeah, that's who you need in those positions.
Seems
anyway,
legit.
Yeah, it works. It transfers over, totally. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So young Melissa had ambition, and she'd actually had some genuine skills as well. She was very organized. She was detail-oriented, whatever, and had an absolute gift for making people trust her completely, no matter what they knew about her. She was very charming. So,
okay.
All of these things are prerequisites for a very specific line of work that you can probably guess where we're going with this.
Cult leader.
Yes, effectively, yes, only with less like kind of religious overtones and more financial ones.
Profitable con artist.
There you go. Name starts with a P and ends with an Onzi. So yes, she also had something else that would prove crucial. She was completely shameless and borderline sociopathic. I mean, pretty much sociopathic. I don't think there's really that much doubt at this point. This woman felt emotions like you or I feel the touch of nitrogen in the air. Like, you're aware that they're there, but you can't fucking feel it at all. So, yeah, little bit worrying. After her secretarial course, Melissa initially worked in NRMA's investment division. I'm guessing that's a financial institution that joined the Sydney branch of a boutique investment bank as an office administrator. Great role to get your foot in the door in the financial services sector. And here's where we get our first red flag that maybe Melissa wasn't destined for a career in ethical financial services. In 1998, just 6 months after taking this job, she was discovered to have stolen $2,000 from the company by forging her boss's signature on several checks. Check fraud. Yeah.
Did she keep her job?
No, but
okay.
they gave her an ultimatum, and it's an ultimatum that I've heard people do in other situations before. I don't think it ever works. But yeah, I mean, $2,000. It's not exactly Bernie Madoff money, but it's kind of like watching like a serial killer's origin stories where they're like picking the wings off flies, sort of thing. It's like it's the financial fraud equivalent of that, effectively. Right. So this company, rather than pursue prosecution and potentially get themselves some bad press, or go under the kind of the glare and the lens of the financial auditors in Australia, they gave Caddick the option of leaving immediately without the police being summoned on the matter, or the matter being escalated. And she chose to leave. She did the smart thing.
Yeah.
That's a mistake because she didn't learn anything. So
they were just like, hey, leave now and we won't call the cops.
Exactly it. Only, like...
They didn't say, give me my money back and then leave now?
Nope. None of that. They just kicked her out the door, effectively.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would take that option.
Who wouldn't take that option? It feels like... I just can't get past the fact that maybe they didn't want the police involved in any of their stuff. Yeah. What financial institution would have that kind of level of problem? I'm sure. Anyway, we're not casting aspersions on them. Maybe they just wanted to give her a break.
Yeah, it was $2,000, and it was the 90s.
It was the well, shit. That's like quite a lot of money. But no, it's the 90s. Why bother getting the cops involved? I guess. And yeah, maybe that was it. Anyway, here's the thing that's absolutely mental. This should have been the end of her career in finance, right? When something like this happens, you think like word gets around within the industry because it's such a small world. Finance, a lot of people know each other.
And something like that obviously gets put in your permanent record.
No, apparently not. Not even close. No record at all. And you would think, who would hire someone who was caught stealing from their previous employer? Well, apparently the answer is Wise Financial Services, who were definitely not, as their name suggests, because shortly afterwards, Caddick was hired as a financial advisor for Wise Financial Services, a subsidiary of ING. This is kind of like giving your alcoholic Christian nationalist buddy access to all of the guns.
ING?
ING, yeah.
This is like in 2000?
Yeah, 1998.
Boy, she didn't work there for like 8 years, did she?
Why is this? Did she set the stone, the dominoes in place? Do you think maybe?
Oh my goodness! I mean, I guess that tracks that they are that kind of financial institution that's just like, hey, steal money, come work here.
We're all about that. Yeah, you perfect for the team. But here's where Melissa's talent for reinvention really shines through. Not only did they hire her, but she eventually purchased a 25% stake in the business after borrowing $750,000. Borrowing. I'm sure she paid it back.
She borrowed it with checks that she signed from her boss's name.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's proper. It's like Janet Leigh in Psycho. Like just fucking takes the money and disappears off into the desert in a car. It's such a weird thing to go from stealing 2,000. I mean, I want to point out, I say dollars. These are Australian dollars, so the value is a little bit lower. I think it's like 1.6 Australian dollars to every dollar, effectively.
Okay, so it's like $1,980.
Yeah, it's not a huge amount, but it's a strange thing that she wouldn't be deterred and wouldn't like move into something else. She's like that. She's been emboldened by this experience to actually buy a stake in the business and get even more power. So she went from petty theft to part ownership of a financial services company in 2 years. So
solid move.
This is the world before like the internet really took control of like checks and balances and stuff. So apparently you could do stuff like that, really.
Yeah.
back then. Kind of crazy. It's either remarkable business acumen on her part, or a sign that Australian financial services industry was background checking capabilities of fucking Russian military back then. It's like, oh, you're alive and you're a human? Yeah, go to the front lines. So throughout this period, Melissa was busy constructing what can only be described as a masterpiece of fictional academic achievement. Her resume reportedly included fictitious qualifications, including degrees in finance from the University of Technology in Sydney. When investigators, we'll get to them a little bit later, checked, the university said it had no record of completion of a graduate diploma in finance or Masters of Business in Finance, or indeed any qualification under the names Melissa Caddick or Melissa Grimley. Let me just pause here to appreciate the audacity of this. She didn't just fudge her grades or exaggerate her experience. She invented entire degrees from real universities, which is kind of like claiming you're a doctor even though you've never watched an episode of House. So,
boy, that's bold.
Really fucking bold. Like, listen, everyone lies on their CV, on their resume, right? Everyone, like, asks, like, especially when they're getting started, everyone asks a buddy to help them out with a what's the word I'm looking for here? For,
a little extra volunteer time, some...
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I was... yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I got nothing. I mean, I list my NAU on mine, and I only went online for like 3 semester credits, three credit hours for.
And the great thing is now you've got so much more experience that lie doesn't matter because it got you foot in the door. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say I had a degree from there.
Yeah.
Said I went there.
I studied there for a while. And that's fine. You know, I lied about my experience to get into jobs as a kid, where they're like, have you worked in a cafe before? I'm like, yeah, I worked at this cafe. And they would invariably never check. And it was just so that I could get like a summer job, you know, so that I could earn a bit of money and have a bit of spending money the next year, you know. Right. So yeah, that's normal. It's normal, and I don't want anyone to... There's a bunch of shit happening in the world right now, including electronic IDs in the UK, which is going to be rolled out so that everyone in the UK has to have one to work, even though we've already got the fucking various things that show that. I just want to point out, it's kind of okay to smudge a little bit when you're going for like smaller jobs, when you're like, okay, look, I just need this job. I worked here. Don't make it an outright lie like I did. But, you know, it's okay to get a buddy to recommend you, is what I'm saying. So if you know someone who can, like, vouch for your like, character and your work ethic, but you've never, like, directly been managed by them, but they know they've maybe seen you in work and they've maybe heard you talk about it, it's okay to get a friend to kind of do that for you, to get your foot in the door. Then you've got to prove yourself, right? And that's when the real work starts. So you've got to make sure that you back that up. What she's doing is making up fake degrees from universities she never went to. And, you know, the beautiful thing about fake qualifications is that people never check them. You know, they see University of Technology Sydney on a resume and they think, well, that sounds really impressive, but no one calls the university to verify at this point in time, especially when the person seems so confident and knowledgeable and experienced already.
I'm just going to start saying I went to MIT.
Do it. You know, you know how much of a hassle it is to like find the right person at MIT and for them to like go and weigh in checks, and also like people, staff are getting cut left, right, and center. Do you know how much time it would take for them to do that shit?
What's one of those departments that the government got cut? I worked there. That's where I worked the last 15 years.
I worked in the Department of Peace. No, the Department of War. So
my goodness.
Yeah. During sorry, go on.
Made up a degree at a real school, and they didn't. Okay, cool.
No, because I think mainly the thing is like she was like, yes, I've got this degree and I've got this master's degree in this, but she also said, I worked here. And to a lot of people in the work, yes, okay, you've studied, great, okay. If you've got actual immediate experience that they can check. They don't really care about the degrees. They're like, okay, let me talk to someone who worked with you in the past. That's more relevant now because that's more recent. So,
Right.
and that's usually the way with these things. So during her time at Wise Financial Services, she learned the business, made connections, and most importantly, figured out how the whole system worked. She was like a criminal casing the joint, except instead of planning a bank job, she's planning to rob her future clients. By 2012, Melissa was ready to strike out on her own. She founded her own financial advisory firm called Maliver, which sounds like a fucking Harry Potter villain, to be honest with you.
Yeah, kind of.
Maliver. What is that? Is that a word?
Sounds like a duck.
Well, that's oh my god. Suddenly getting Thai recipes in my head. Maliver à l'orange. Yeah, sounds delicious. And here's where things get really interesting, because Melissa discovered something that the world that would make her very, very rich. Wealthy people are often surprisingly gullible when it comes to money. Listen, we've been living in a world with the Epstein revelations for a very long time now. A lot of people gave that man a lot of money. We don't even really know what for, because where did the money come from?
That's another person that I think didn't have a background or degree in finance that ended up just financing stuff.
I sent Derek a video about this. Like, a guy made a video kind of like, it's basically suggesting like even the stuff with Donald Trump, it's a distraction. Where did this guy get all of his money? And there's all these online conspiracy theories, like maybe he was a Mossad agent, maybe he was a pimp, maybe he was like a massive scale trafficker, maybe he sold arms, maybe he was blackmailing people. But none of those things like hold up to scrutiny, because like spies don't make shitloads of money, neither do pimps really. They don't make billions.
Maybe he did a little bit of all of it and invested well. Maybe he wasn't good at investing.
It's entirely possible, and I checked into it, and one of the most plausible things I found online, even though there's no proof for it, it just seems like the more likely to happen, is that he was a financial advisor to extremely wealthy people who was really, really discreet, and he did more than just financial advice and management. So maybe they had certain proclivities or stuff that they wanted, and maybe he knew how to acquire it for them, as well as managing their finances.
So he's like a dirty Ray Donovan.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And a very wealthy version, or like possibly, as some conspiracy theories have posited, maybe a reposit for secrets, a bit like the Church of Scientology, which a lot of people have claimed like maybe that's just a protection racket.
What if he was an Anna Delvey and he just didn't have any money?
I mean, it's entirely possible. He might have just been squatting on the island, and like just people arriving there and like, wait, the homeless guy's showing people around the island again? What's going on? Why don't we just get rid of him?
If you just show up and take over an island and like nobody has been there, and like who's gonna be like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be here?
Yeah,
be like, no, I bought it, I own it, I'm rich, and I've got all of my rich people with me.
Yeah,
like I've got a president.
Here's Prince Andrew.
Yeah,
you can tell I'm rich.
See?
Yeah, you're legit. The royals are in with you now. Okay. So,
and honestly, if you can talk one rich friend into giving you a few $1 million, you're rich.
Exactly. Yeah. If someone gives you a big loan and you just take a very long time to pay it off, and in the meantime you use some of that money and that experience to talk to other people, then all of a sudden you're a successful businessman who hasn't gone bankrupt 4 times.
Holy crap, that's how it happens.
That's exactly it. It's the whole fake it till you make it thing, but involving like taking money from someone and using that to kickstart your life. So here's how Melissa's scheme worked with the very, very rich. And it's so simple, it's almost insulting to the intelligence of everyone involved. She would approach potential clients, mostly, this is where it gets really dark, friends, family, and wealthy people in her social circle.
I'm going to write this down.
Okay, you're taking notes. Yes, make sure it's in shorthand so that they can't understand it when the door gets busted in. She promised these people in her social circle that she would invest their money and she promised consistent high returns through her exclusive investment strategies. I still don't understand why people are falling for this in the 2010s, but apparently they are.
Yeah, I feel like I heard this before.
I feel like we've heard this multiple times every 5 years. And there's still some people out there like, oh, it's okay, we know this person. They're not Bernie Madoff. They're not Charles Ponzi. They're not, all of these different things. They're different because I know them. But here's the thing. There were no investments, literally zero. She didn't invest a single dime. She was running a classic Ponzi scheme where money from new investors was used to pay off fake returns to existing investors. The only thing Melissa was investing in was massive amounts, like crazy amounts of designer handbags and the occasional 5-star overseas holiday.
Oh, well, that's not going to return very well.
No, it's not. You're not going to see any returns from it. Just at least buy some scratches,
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
You never know.
You might get enough. So she told clients she would invest their money in shares and other financial products. Instead, she deposited clients' money into 37 different bank accounts. How is one person allowed to open that many bank accounts? How many different names and businesses does she have? That's crazy.
What, did she open it for those people?
She said that she was handling it herself. I don't know the details on that. Maybe she opened it in their name, but then again, they'd have had access and they'd have had to be there to sign
Well, you know
it
what?
over.
That's the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
They were, if it was Bank of America, they were pushing tellers to have everybody open up multiple bank accounts. They were kicking out commissions for tellers to open up. Maybe that's,
Jesus Christ! No wonder we got so fucked in 2007. All of this. So she was the prime signatory on all of these accounts, so it would have been under someone's.
Yeah, she's just opening accounts for them.
Yeah, don't bother checking it. I'll handle it. And she then used the money to fund her extravagant lifestyle. She would fabricate portfolio statements to convince her unwitting victims that they were making stellar returns. These statements were complete fiction. Like if I started a newsletter claiming I was making millions trading cryptocurrency, but I was actually just buying scratch cards and Chinese food. That's effectively, yeah. And actually that would have been smarter. Although the resale value on high-end luxury handbags, I guess there's something there, but still, it's like...
She wasn't reselling her handbags.
She was storing them, making a suit out of luxury handbags. Like Ed Gein, only with even more exclusive leather. Here's the genius part of her scam. She made herself look exclusive, so when potential clients approached her, she would often tell them that she already had a full book and she couldn't take on any new clients.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
We've definitely heard this before.
That's solid plan.
That's straight out of the Madoff handbook. And you make yourself look exclusive so people want it even more, even though you keep telling them no. It's the financial equivalent of a nightclub having a velvet rope. Basically, you've got that private... Oh, no, you're not VIP. You can't be back here. I've got $12,000. Okay, yeah, you can come in now. Okay, and here's a glass of champagne for your time. The harder it is to get in, the more people want to get in. And one victim described meeting Melissa on a cruise, because that sounds like, for someone who is into scamming rich old people out of their money, as we discussed in a previous episode, cruise ships are incredibly expensive. And if you meet the right people there, it's just like... And they're all in one confined space. So it's like a feeding frenzy for this woman. So
just get them all drinked up and talked up with her stellar ideas.
Yeah, put on a little Margaritaville, get that blaring in the background. Everyone's having a good time. And let me tell you about how to invest some money. So this is what one victim said. She finds out that she's a financial advisor. Melissa Caddick says, I'd love to look after your money, but I'm too busy. I'll have to wait until the space becomes available. By the time they get back in Sydney, like less than a week later, Melissa graciously finds some space for this woman, and then within half an hour manages to convince her to invest $2.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
It's everything she had. Literally.
Oh no.
Terrible. She'd built it up over a week. Like just conversations with this woman, treating her to like nice food, nice things on the cruise ship, maybe having fun, laughing about it, being the kind of trustworthy person that you'd want looking after your money, and saying, listen, let's just spend time as friends. I can't look after your money, but maybe 6 months, a year down the line when a space opens up, I'll call you first. And then all of a sudden when it's docking in Sydney, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. A space has opened up. You can invest everything. She's like, great, here's $2.5 million. It's so fucking slimy. Gross.
See, well, and the thing too is, okay, $2.5 million sounds like a lot of money. That's not a wealthy person. That's somebody's life savings.
Yeah. That's a middle-class person, probably worked their whole life, them and their partner, maybe inherited some money from their parents, maybe some jewelry from their parents, maybe they've sold that to invest in this, maybe they've remortgaged. It's all of their life savings. It's not like this is a many times over millionaire or billionaire who's just like, yeah, $2.5 million, I spend that in a month.
Right. Yeah, it's not like Musk. Yeah. He sneezes and that falls out of his pocket.
Yeah, just spaffing it up another rocket wall or something. But because nothing says trustworthy financial advisor like playing hard to get with people's life savings. So for 8 years, from 2012 to 2020, Melissa lived like she'd won the lottery every single month, because she had, effectively. She and her hairdresser husband, Anthony Coletti, I know that's a random insert there, they lived in a $6 million mansion in Dover Heights, one of Sydney's most prestigious neighborhoods. She drove luxury cars, she wore designer clothes, and took extravagant overseas holidays. She probably had those, like, really expensive coffee enemas that all the billionaires are having.
You think they make you jittery?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, I feel so charged. I've got full fucking empty as well. When she went overseas, they were on private jets and in limousines on a trip to Aspen, of all places. She flew from Sydney to Aspen. That's a fucking private plane journey and a half. That's a long flight.
No way that's straight through.
No, she'd have stopped over and somewhere and found a couple more victims in like Singapore or somewhere like that, Oh,
jeez.
So on our trip to Aspen, she spent $40,000 just on accommodation, which, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the trip, just the accommodation. Not the food, not the designer clothes, not drinking out or anything like, or tipping people, just on the accommodation, 40 grand. She's basically spending more on hotel rooms than most people make in a year. I know Aspen's expensive, but $40,000, that's like the biggest suite in the entire place, and she's only there for a week, mind you. So
is it made of solid gold?
It should be made of solid cocaine for that kind of money. My God, $40,000. You should get like a gold-plated hot tub to take home. This is the cocaine suite. Just don't go for the stuff on the floor. That's where Rick James left his stuff. So she shopped at Dior and Louis Vuitton like she was buying groceries. She had luxury designer handbags worth more than most people's cars. But here's the thing that makes this even more infuriating. She wasn't some mysterious criminal mastermind. Her victims knew her personally. Many of them were her friends and family. She stole from her own parents. Just let that sink in for a moment. Her parents gave her 1.03 million Australian dollars on the understanding they were part of an Edgecliff apartment and have life tenancy. So they thought they were buying this apartment, and kind of becoming property investors. It didn't exist.
So, that's messed up.
That's really fucked up. I saw a thing recently, and so there's a guy in wrestling called Paul Heyman, and he works in WWE now. He works with Roman Reigns. He's worked with Brock Lesnar. He's worked with CM Punk, and his tenure in wrestling goes all the way back to WCW, back in the early 90s. For years, he was the booker and promoter of a wrestling company called ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, which kind of revolutionized wrestling in the 90s. Paul Heyman was notorious for bouncing checks. And yeah, ECW. He also ran Studio 54 for a while, which
really,
really ran him for like a couple of years before he got shut down as like a kid. He was super young. Anyway, he ECW was the third biggest wrestling company in the US, way behind WCW and WWF. But it was a good place for like guys who'd been released to go and make a little bit of money and maybe rebound and go back to the other big company, or you know, a little busman's holiday, or maybe for young guys to get noticed by the big two. They were never making enough money, or at least the money wasn't being spent wisely. And Paul Heyman was bouncing checks left and right. And when the company eventually went under, he owed like Rob Van Dam, one of the wrestlers, he owed him $250,000, and another wrestler, Jerry Lynn, he owed him like $100,000. And then they were looking at all of the people who were going to be getting money out of the bankruptcy and insolvency, and the biggest person by far and away was his father for like $4 million.
My goodness,
that's fucked.
Like, there's as terrible as I am with money, I don't owe anybody that much money.
No. I think I owe the student loans people about 12 grand, and you know, we got a mortgage, and that's it. I just wouldn't feel comfortable taking out that substantial of a loan from someone who I knew personally or who was actual family. It's just it becomes awkward and tricky, and that dynamic shifts and changes, and it's never quite the same, especially if you don't pay it back.
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of gross. So anyway, in 2022, Caddick's parents said in a statement filed in the federal court that Melissa dishonestly and fraudulently took their money. Your own daughter steals your retirement money and uses it to buy handbags. That's not just financial fraud. That's some kind of like special disturbed right there. That's sociopathic.
It's mean.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you... if you're conning people you know, close to you and stuff, why would you go after your parents? That's just like proving that you are sick, really.
I mean, unless she's pre-anticipating that she's going to have to wipe their heinies later when they're older. She's like, well...
I might as well get my inheritance now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it was.
There are ways of doing that where you don't con them out of the fucking money. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to...
I like that you're playing devil's advocate. I like that. I like that you're doing the journalistic thing of like, maybe there was a reason. Let's look at the options. I like that.
There's no good reasons here.
Yeah, we're just looking for a reason that she's not just a piece of shit. But unfortunately, everything's looking kind of closer to pointing in that direction. This wasn't petty theft. In total, she stole approximately $30 million from 74 investors, including her closest friends and family members. So imagine being at a dinner party where Melissa is showing off her latest designer dress, talking about her amazing ski trip to Aspen, and you're thinking, wow, she's really successful. Meanwhile, she's literally wearing your life savings.
Oof.
Yeah, that's dark, man. But here's the thing about Ponzi schemes that we know from experience. Mm-hmm. They're like a financial version of orgies. Everything's fine as long as no one rips a massive wet fart. And then the spell is broken and everything falls apart. Not talking from experience. It's just... just breaking the spell there. What I'm saying is it's bound to collapse. These things, they can only go on so long. Ponzi schemes are notorious for falling apart and people ending up in prison because eventually the money runs dry. You can't just keep on doing the same thing over and over again because there's a level where you can't keep paying people back and it all falls apart. And this is that moment. The moment people start asking for their money back, the whole thing collapses faster than Prince Andrew's version of events after an interview with Emily Maitlis. And that's exactly what happened to Melissa in 2020. So this is really recent. But she got away with it for 8 years. But then the house of cards came tumbling down. It all started, believe it or not, in a dentist's waiting room.
Oh, laughing gas.
That's what it is. I've been stealing money for years. One of Melissa's investors, Dominique Ogilvy, was sitting in a dentist's office when she struck up a conversation with another woman. who was hopefully waiting for some very cheap dental work if she's met Melissa before. During the conversation, Ogilvy mentioned that she had invested through Melissa Caddick. The other woman's response was basically, "Oh shit, we need to talk." It turned out this woman was a financial advisor, and she recognized Melissa's name because Melissa had been illegally using her Australian financial services license number to run her company, Maliver, for years.
So maybe people did do background checks.
Yeah. But they, like, okay, someone's using your license number. Go in and stop them. Maybe get the authorities to look into it, because if they're willing to steal your license, maybe they're stealing other shit.
She hadn't. There had to be some sort of benefit that she was getting for having the business license being used somehow. Like, there's some sort of bulk discount she was getting.
Maybe. And also, there's also the chance that it might be a case of like I know people who've had their identity stolen, and it's really difficult to kind of get these things worked out and get stuff restored and get parity and, you know, get clear of it and track down the other person. So maybe it's a case of that. Anyway, so Melissa was using someone else's license number, someone who was still actively working in the financial services industry, and somehow thought this would never be discovered. Great plan. That's it's like robbing a bank with water pistols. The woman told Ogilvy that Melissa was operating illegally and fraudulently. Ogilvy then called Melissa and asked to withdraw her $2.5 million investment, claiming she needed the money to buy a house, which was very smart. She wasn't like, "I'm on to you, give me my fucking money," because she'd have never seen it again. She was like, "Oh, I'm buying a house, and, you know, I want to buy it, but then, like, next year I'll invest with you again." It was smart. Right. Melissa actually gave her back $2.5 million plus $300,000 in fake returns.
Nice.
Yeah, she made out fine. So you might think, well,
somebody else's money.
Yeah, she's like stolen some other pensioner's fucking money. At least Ogilvy got her money back. But think about what this means. Melissa was able to instantly return $2.8 million because she had other people's money just sitting in her accounts, doing nothing.
You know what?
Yeah.
If she had that money just sitting in accounts,
I know what you're going to say.
She could have invested it and made money.
Yeah. Or just like find like a little low yield interest account and just like pour it all in there, just like 2%, and just be like, "Hey, you know, I promised you big results. We've had a bad financial year, but you're getting 1.5% back. Then you're an actual fucking investor. You're not great, but at least they're seeing returns." But handbags, etc. So she was basically running a very expensive savings account where she was the only one who had access to the funds. Meanwhile, the financial advisor who discovered the license fraud had contacted the ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, to report what Melissa was doing. ASIC launched an investigation, and what they found was absolutely staggering. Melissa had been operating without any license at all, had no actual investments, and had been systematically defrauding people for nearly a decade. On November the 11th, 2020, ASIC agents and the Australian Federal Police arrived at Melissa's Dover Heights mansion at about 7 a.m. for a raid that went on for 12 hours. So they tore this fucking place apart.
They were looking for priest holes.
Yeah, they are. You got the king in there? Where the fuck? Why is he in a priest's hole? Melissa, who had spent years living like a celebrity, suddenly watched investigators cart out computers, files, and documents that would expose her entire fraudulent operation. She kept a paper trail like the fucking idiot she is.
Seems about right.
Yeah, it does. According to investigators, Melissa was allowed to roam freely during the raid, was offered food and drink, allowed to go to the toilet, and was even seen filing her nails at one point. She also took a nap in the afternoon while the raid was still going on. So this is a pretty laid-back situation, really. I guess they're not too worried about her making a break for it.
I was gonna say, was she allowed to leave?
I don't think she was allowed to leave,
Okay.
but the house is so fucking big. She's like, I'm going to go in the other wing. I'm going to go and have a nap. I'm going to have a lie down. It's been a bit
I ran
stressful.
away.
Yeah. So this wasn't an aggressive, traumatic police raid. This was basically, sorry for the inconvenience, Miss Caddick, but we need to collect evidence of your massive financial fraud. Would you like a PB&J? While we rummaged through everything in the kitchen. But for someone who had spent 8 years living in a lie, watching the authorities methodically dismantle her fake empire must have been absolutely terrifying, and the gig was finally up. That evening, knowing that her world was about to come crashing down, Melissa went to bed, knowing she was probably never going to sleep in luxury again. And then, on November the 12th, 2020, that's a day later, at around 5:30 a.m., something happened that turned this fraud case into one of Australia's most mysterious disappearances ever. Yeah. Oh, it gets juicy now. Oh, boy. Yeah. Melissa's son heard a door close and assumed his mother had gone for her usual morning jogs. Apparently, she's super active. I think people who take morning jogs are psychopaths, mostly because they're always the first people to find the body. If you think about it,
It's only people that jog,
yes.
right?
Dog walkers and joggers, early morning, they're always the first ones to find the body. You know who's never found a body? Me, sitting on the sofa, eating ice cream, watching Rick and Morty,
I feel judged.
Good for you on your morning walks. And to be honest with you, you're in a city, so like there'll have been dozens of people who have seen the corpse before you. They'll probably even put a picture of it on social media. So.
Well, they would have taken a picture with it.
Selfie. Melissa's son heard the door close and assumed she'd gone for a jog. What was unusual is that she never came back, unfortunately. She left behind her mobile phone, her wallet, and all her possessions, and she just vanished. So
Yep.
She went for a jog without something that could literally pinpoint her exact location. That's not suspicious at all. Her husband, Anthony Coletti, how long do you think he waited before he reported her missing? I'm going to ask you this now.
48 hours?
Oh, you're going to make this sound really bad now. It's only 30 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, he hadn't heard from her in 30 hours. When asked why he'd waited so long, given that there had been a fucking raid at their house the previous day, he said that he was afraid to do the wrong thing by her and didn't know whether he should contact the police. It gives you some insight into the kind of the state of their relationship, where it's so marshaled and controlled that he doesn't know whether he should contact the police when she's gone missing or not, because she might get upset about that. So it's a little strange. What followed was one of the most intense missing person searches in Australian history. Police scoured the coastline around Dover Heights. Divers searched the waters. Search teams combed through bushland and cliffs. They reviewed hours of CCTV footage. But here's the weird thing. Despite, we live in a surveillance society, CCTV cameras are all over Sydney. Not one of them captured Melissa leaving her house or walking anywhere. It's just like she evaporated into thin air.
She's got a Rick and Morty portal.
She does. She's got a fucking portal gun. Amazing. Oh, man. That would be... I mean, if you got all that money, you might as well buy a portal gun.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, I would. If I had the money, I'd fucking buy one. Don't have to deal with airports anymore. So this led to all sorts of wild conspiracy theories. Some people thought she'd staged her own death and fled the country with millions of dollars. I don't think that's possible. Her accounts will have been frozen at this point. So...
They didn't find the priest hole, and you can run away with cash.
There you go. And, yeah, she's hiding in the priest hole with money in her hole. So that's probably what happened there. So this led to the conspiracy theories. Others speculated that she'd undergone cosmetic surgery and was living under a false identity, like Jack Nicholson in Joker. In Batman. Theories got increasingly elaborate. People suggested she had secret offshore accounts, fake passports, and elaborate escape plans, like burrowing holes. underground and stuff. She became like Australians' version of D.B. Cooper, the mysterious figure who jumped out of a plane with a fortune and was never seen again, except by the animals that ate him on the ground, because he's definitely dead.
DB Cooper is?
DB, oh yeah. Like,
no. He got away.
Sure, yeah. He got away into the fucking forest below, wearing a suit in the pouring rain. Her husband Anthony became a figure of suspicion and mockery as well. People wondered if he was involved in her disappearance, disappearance, or if he knew more than he was saying. Having heard this guy talk, I don't think that's ever the case. The fact that he was a part-time DJ and hairdresser who had clearly been living off of his wife's stolen money didn't exactly help his credibility at all, one bit, to be honest. I guess he's one of those guys that just doesn't ask questions. Like, hey, I'm along for the ride. I'm not going to ask you anything about your business. That's your business.
So he's like a mob wife.
He is. He's a mob wife. Just like, don't fuck up the furniture. Do what you've got to do. He even released music under the name Paws Off. Amazing. That included lyrics claiming Melissa had been mistreated during the raid, suggesting she had been deprived of food and water, which directly contradicted the investigators' accounts and the actual body cam footage that they have of the raid.
Oh, there's body cam footage of them giving her a sandwich.
Yeah, here you go. Do you want the crust cut off? Oh, that's good. So not only was he potentially involved in covering up financial fraud, but he was also apparently a rapper. I'm dropping a diss track about federal investigators. For 3 months, Melissa Caddick was the subject of massive media attention and wild speculation. Where was she? Was she dead? Was she living up in some non-extradition country? I'm trying to think where that would be for Australia. I'm going to guess Venezuela or Iran.
Yeah, is it
living at large in North Korea? What's that?
Venezuela, or is it Argentina? That's all the not.
Well, I think Argentina has extradition treaties, but not necessarily with everyone. I know Venezuela, because it's like a communist country, it doesn't have extradition treaties with the US. But this is before Russia was a dissident, so I'm guessing just like Iran.
Okay.
And there's like some other countries, like Cyprus has got weird rules. I know Spain had for a while, but those have disappeared. So some African countries where they're controlled by dictators. I mean, she probably could have gone to Zimbabwe or somewhere like that, which was still under rule, or the Congo, somewhere like that, the Democratic Republic of Congo. She could have gone there, but it's like, would you really want to kind of disappear with those kind of money around, like difficult to manage regimes? I don't think that's a.
No, she'd end up working in a cobalt mine or something.
Yeah, she's in Alice Springs, just digging holes in the fucking outback. But
man,
it gets weirder, if that's even possible. On February the 21st, 2021, a runner made a gruesome discovery on Bournda Beach, Bouranda, Bournda Beach on the New South Wales coast. A shoe, specifically an Asics running shoe, size 8.5. 8.5.
Okay.
Pretty big fucking feet, this lady. And inside the shoe was a decomposing human foot.
Hey.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Those wash up all the time on the Pacific coast.
They do. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets a little bit suspicious. So the shoe matched Melissa's size and the description of the footwear that she was wearing during the raid on November the 11th. DNA testing of samples gathered from her toothbrush, and family members confirmed that the foot did belong to Melissa Caddick. Suddenly, all of those elaborate escape theories seemed a little less plausible. It's pretty hard to flee when you only got one foot and you're bleeding out everywhere. Not impossible.
Yeah.
I'm sure Arnold Schwarzenegger's done it in one of his movies, but I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world.
Gosh, it was a show that I just watched. Bad Monkey.
Okay.
With Vince Vaughn.
Okay.
Where this guy was running a fraud thing, and like cut off his leg or arm, or I can't remember, to get away with it, and threw it out into the ocean. So it got found that he was in a boating accident and drowned.
I wonder if he's taken it from this. How old is that film? Because this is from
2024.
2021. Maybe he saw this and he was like, "Well, yeah, it's plausible.
It's a good show."
I mean, I'll happily watch it. I like a lot of the stuff that Vince Vaughn has done.
I'm still rooting for the lady to get away. I know she's a bad person. I don't want her dead though.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't want people dead. But the thing is, and this is where it gets a little bit weird. So the location where the foot was found matched tidal and drift pattern modeling undertaken by marine police. If a body entered the water near Dover Heights around the time of Melissa's disappearance, it would likely wash up somewhere near the south coast town of Bermagui, which is just 40 kilometers north of where the foot was found. So they're saying it's close to where it should have been, but I feel like 40 kilometers, there's like enough of a margin for error in there that it's possible that she got away with it.
But I mean, if it's just the foot, then you gotta think maybe the shark was gnawing on it a bit, like a dog with a bone. And I mean, it's Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can I have a little bit of breakfast? Can I just get a little light snack there, buddy? Just a little nip. Right, I know it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but you're not going to miss it, are you? It's Bruce. It's fucking Bruce the shark. Hello. But here's the thing that kept the conspiracy theories alive. Finding a foot, as we've just pointed out, doesn't necessarily mean that the person is dead. Criminologist Dr. Xanthi Mallet, amazing name, pointed out that having lost a foot did not definitely mean that Caddick was dead. Even with body parts washing up on beaches, some people still believe that Melissa might have somehow survived and is living in hiding somewhere. I mean, it's Australia. It's probably got bitten off by any number of fucking animals. Also, I feel like if one body part's washing up, surely others be washing up as well, right? If it's a shark attack or something.
You would think it wouldn't just be a foot.
Yeah. Like, where's the other foot? Where's an arm? Where's a hand?
Right? Hair, an ear.
Yeah, or even like some of the personal effects, right? She's gone jogging, so I'm assuming she's wearing light clothing. So if some of that breaks loose, that would wash up, and that would have signs of a struggle on it.
Yeah.
So,
or the other shoe, like the shark spit it out. I didn't want the shoe.
Exactly, yeah. I'm more of a Nike guy. So in May 2023, Deputy State Coroner Elizabeth Ryan finally ruled that Melissa Caddick was dead, though she was unable to determine exactly how she died or when. I have concluded that Melissa Caddick is deceased, the coroner said. However, a more problematic issue is whether the evidence is sufficient to enable a positive finding as to how she died and when or where this happened. So it's like, she's dead, sort of, maybe.
She died of death and missing feet.
Of death. I don't know how or when, but she's death, basically. Even in death, Melissa Caddick managed to leave people with more questions than answers. Meanwhile, her victims were left to pick up the pieces of their financial lives. In November 2021, the federal court found that Melissa, through the company Maliver, had fraudulently appropriated tens of millions of dollars of investors' money and operated without a financial license for years. Well, or ever, I guess, really. Her possessions, including the $9.8 million Dover Heights house, were sold to partially reimburse the 72 clients who were owed more than $23 million. The victims received their payouts first in 2023, a total of $3 million distributed among 53 investors. That works out to about 32 cents for every dollar they lost.
Well,
so, yeah. It's something, I guess, but, you know, think about it. These people lost their life savings, their retirement funds, money they'd set aside for their children's education, and they got back about a third of what they invested. That's got to be devastating.
I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but...
Yeah. Auction the shoe.
How much did they get back from Bernie?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, but I feel like he had more assets that could be seized because he had a bunch of houses.
Okay. Yeah.
And he'll have been living there for a while, so I feel like there'll have been like some inflation in the price of those places. It's hard to know, but yeah, I know that one of the people that got ripped off was John Malkovich by Bernie Madoff.
Really?
Yeah, he invested millions of dollars. Never
I feel
seen
like
that
that's
again.
not somebody you want to. I'm scared of John Malkovich.
Yeah, it's funny though
I don't know
because John
why.
Malkovich got a reputation as a really lovely guy and like helped someone who was having a heart attack out in the street and stuff. But he does look like he could hurt you in numerous different ways.
And I think it's because he just seems like he's nice, but like you just don't want to do him wrong because you don't mess with that kind of nice guy because there's
Yeah.
You
know that there's an imagination there that has the capacity for incredibly creative violence.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, there is a door in John Malkovich's head, and you do not want to open it. Otherwise, he'll see the color like green and just go fucking insane and like chop off your eyebrows or something. I'm speculating, John. You seem like a lovely guy. Please don't hurt my eyebrows. These people getting back a third of what they lost. Many of Melissa's victims were elderly people who trusted her with their retirement savings, so a lot of them lost their retirement homes. Yeah, some were family, friends who had known her for years. Others were her own relatives. Many of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case involve how Melissa systematically betrayed the people closest to her. She didn't target strangers. She targeted the people who trusted her implicitly. She was described by her victims as meticulous, systematic, and very controlling, which should be a red flag. She would insert herself into people's lives, becoming their close friend, before convincing them to hand over their money. As one victim said, that's what Melissa was counting on. She made it seem disloyal to challenge her on anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's manipulative.
That's really scary. And also that's like a big red flag. Like if someone's controlling you that much and they have a lot of control over your financial well-being, that's a sure sign that you're actually on the road to being conned. Throughout the entire saga, though, Anthony Coletti, her husband's behavior was Kanye West. Let's go with that. That's kind of a
weird?
good way of putting this. Oh, weird. Oh, my God. After Melissa's disappearance, he continued living in the Dover Heights mansion with Melissa's teenage son from her previous marriage. He seemed genuinely shocked by the revelation of her crimes, suggesting he had no idea what she'd been doing. Again, it's like what you said, he's a mob wife, basically. But his actions raised eyebrows. On the night that Melissa disappeared, when he claims he was frantically searching for her, before waiting 30 hours to call the police, he actually went to a friend's house in Rose Bay to smoke weed. So...
Well, that's why it took him 30 hours.
Yeah, he's fucking baked. The only thing he's frantically searching for are fucking Fritos and Hot Pockets and Mountain Dew and shit like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh my God, where's my wife? I'm so scared. When questions about this in court came up, he said that he was concerned about his wife and smoked weed to calm himself down. It's like, whatever calms you down, mate.
Or you could go look.
Yeah, or you could, I feel like this is the kind of guy that just smokes weed at the drop of a hat. Like, oh my God, I just had a bad phone call. Oh, thank God. So let me get this straight. Your wife has mysteriously disappeared out of your house after it was raided by federal investigators who are clearly now watching your every move. And your immediate response is to go and smoke a joint with your mate. Dude, they're watching you. That's so stupid. He also waited 30 hours, as we pointed out, to report her missing, claimed to have no knowledge of her criminal activities despite living in the lap of luxury for years, and somehow never questioned how they could afford the extravagant lifestyle on his hairdresser's income, because he apparently contributed as well. Either Anthony Coletti is the most oblivious person in Australia, or he's an even better actor than Russell Crowe, which is a pretty fucking good actor. In 2024, he gave an interview to Woman's Day, where he said, "The emotional pain is a million times harder than anything else I lost. I am still not over it," which is a touching sentiment, except for the fact that anything else he lost was obtained through defrauding dozens of people, including elderly retirees and Melissa's own fucking parents. So,
yeah, that's
screw your pain, dude.
That's terrible.
Really,
I mean,
really bad.
I guess she kept it in the. At least she wasn't messing over strangers. I don't know. I've got nothing nice to say.
There's not really much of a silver lining with this one, other than the fact that a shark got to eat a free lunch.
Maybe.
Really. Yeah,
I still
maybe.
think that she sawed it off and threw it out there. And I'm going with the bad monkey theory.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And to be honest with you, if the police suspect that, let's be honest, all they have to do is just like go up to the husband and just give him a pat on the back, and they'll be like, "Oh, they think I'm nice," and there's a big fucking tracker right on his back, and just waiting for him to fly off to whichever part of the world she's actually hiding out in. So, what can we learn from the spectacular rise and fall of Melissa Caddick? First, always check credentials. In Australia, anyone who gives financial advice must have an Australian Financial Services license. This is simple to check, but most people don't bother. So here's how you do it for Australians out there. Visit the website called Money Smart, navigate to the Financial Advisors Register page, search the register, use the specific search function to look for the financial advisor or company you're interested in working with, and the register will show if the individual or company is registered and authorized to provide financial advice to retail clients. If they aren't on there, it is illegal to do so.
But what if they're just using somebody else's number?
Then you probably get a bit of a, you know, like when you got, hang on a minute, the VIN number on this part of the car is different from this part of the car. There's something really suspicious going on here. Have I just bought something from a chop shop?
No, seems legit. I'm good. Let's go.
That's fine. It works. That's fine. If people had verified Melissa's license, her fraud would have been exposed immediately. But unfortunately, a lot of people just didn't know how to do that back then. Second, be wary of investments or investors that promise consistently high returns. No one, and I mean no one, can guarantee high returns year after year. It's literally impossible. It's a surefire sign of fraud. If someone promises they can make you money regardless of market conditions, they're either lying or they've figured out how to control the laws of economics, which nobody has done.
Or they're selling drugs.
Or they're selling drugs and they need your money to help. So again, for those people that are confused about like what's a good return, how do I spot a scam? What are the numbers I should be looking out for? So stock market, S&P 500, about 10% annually over the long term, including dividends, but with significant year-on-year variation. You're likely to get a 10% return, maybe 8%. Some years, 11, 12 the next. It varies a little bit. Government bonds, 2 to 5%, depending on duration and current interest rates. High-grade corporate bonds, 3 to 6% annually. Real estate, if you can make between 3 and 8% annually on average, that's decent. So if anyone is telling you that you can make 15 to 30% consistently annually and return with low or medium risk, they are full of shit. So,
yeah.
That's definitely something to watch out for. And third, never invest directly into accounts controlled by your advisor. Legitimate financial advisors use independent custodians to hold your funds. If someone asks you to transfer money directly into your personal accounts, that's not investment, that's just giving them your money. Fourth, be suspicious of financial advisors who live lavish lifestyles. If your financial advisor is constantly posting trips to Aspen on their Instagram account, or like European vacations, or like look at the latest handbag I've bought, it's probably your money they're spending. What's that?
So look at this new Birkin bag.
Look at this new Birkin bag. Look at my new Asics running shoes. And finally, never trust anyone who makes themselves artificially exclusive. The "I'm too busy to take on new clients" routine, is a classic manipulation tactic designed to make you feel special and lower your guard. Melissa Caddick was a master manipulator who used people's trust, greed, and social relationships against them. She understood that wealthy people often make financial decisions based on emotion rather than logic, and she exploited that ruthlessly. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: fraud can happen to literally anyone. Melissa's victims weren't stupid or gullible. They were intelligent, successful people who trusted someone they thought they knew. The difference between Melissa's victims and the rest of us isn't intelligence or sophistication. It's literally just luck. They just happened to meet a charming sociopath who was willing to steal from her own family to fund her designer shopping addiction. And that's Melissa Caddick.
No, see, it's the thing is that they just don't have a trustworthy cousin like mine that is really good, that's going to return me these 15% returns on my money year after year.
He's got a system, okay?
Yeah.
You just don't understand the system.
Right.
And he explained it to me ad nauseum. I was asleep for most of it.
And you can tell that he's good at it because he's always taking these really awesome trips.
Yeah. And he posts about it online. And he also smells really good. And I just trust someone who smells good. You know, it smells like sandalwood all year round. It's wonderful. So yeah, that's Melissa Caddick. It's just like, it's kind of a paint by numbers Ponzi scheme. But what do you make of this one?
I think it's cool that she had a mob wife husband. Mob wife husband.
I've never heard of that before. Genuinely, yeah. I've heard of mob wives, but I've never heard of like the oblivious husband in this situation. So.
I don't remember. Did she have a kid?
Yeah, she did. Teenage son.
Oh yeah, because she left the kid and took off.
Yeah, and that's who heard her
this
leaving.
Is totally bad monkey. This is bad monkey, but with a woman.
Do you remember when we covered those that queen of crypto who disappeared?
Yeah, Raja something.
Yeah. And that dude, that other crypto guy who like went to India and died of the side effects from Crohn's disease, and I was like, no, we fucking didn't. There's no way in hell. He's just like gone to India and disappeared and crossed a border and kept all the money. So, yeah.
Anytime somebody mysteriously dies where there's a bunch of money missing and there's no full body.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not rooting for the bad guy, but I just automatically assume they got away.
Yeah. And also you want it to be a more interesting story so that like 3, 5, 10, 20 years later we could make a follow-up, or they get a Netflix special when they're eventually caught. You know?
Yeah, well, it does make a more interesting story if they...
It really does. I think, listen, this isn't just a normal Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. This woman stole from her family. And elderly people as well. On cruises where they're just like... Listen, when people are on holiday, their guard is down. Like, don't fuck with people who are on holiday. That's when they're supposed to let go of stuff, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. How much did she...
30 million Australian in total.
Okay.
So listen, we're not talking dosey mabosi money or, you know, any of the other con people that we've covered who have stolen hundreds of millions of dollars, or Nick, what's his name? The British banking guy who like lost $2 billion in a fucking day or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Nick Leeson. So on the scale of cons, it's, you know, relatively minor. You know, we covered the Vietnamese con woman who had like $2 billion stored in her basement and shit. But to the people she conned, who, I mean, we talk about wealthy people in this. This is wealthy in terms of like compared to working class people now who are like living paycheck to paycheck. These are people who had the ability to save up a smallish fortune, but she stole everything from them. So, you know, it's not really wealthy people. You know,
Right. She became super wealthy because she
Yeah,
pulled
she did.
together a little bit of money from sort of okay off people's retirement money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, yeah, no, it's terrible. It's terrible because it's taken away the people's ability to stop working and just enjoy their twilight years.
Mm.
Um, and she, I'm not gonna assume that it was foul play.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think if it were foul play, I think they could have done a better job of hiding the foot. And I know if it were foul play and you're like, oh, well, they left the foot on the beach to kind of throw people off the scent. It's like, well, no, she would have just disappeared,
Right.
completely. So if you had to score
So
Melissa Caddick,
it's either a fake death and disappeared.
yeah.
Oh, if I had to score, it's directly dependent on whether or not she got away.
I kind of listen. I would love one of these days to do a follow-up episode. So I don't want her to have gotten away with everyone's money because I know she was pretty bad at this, but she might have been smart enough to get bearer bonds to a certain amount of money or a bunch of gold and just fucking gone.
There's 2/3 of the money out there left to get.
Exactly. So, I feel like I want to do a follow-up episode, but I would have preferred these people weren't conned out of their money,
Yeah.
if that's it. So, if you had to score Melissa Caddick, given that we feel that there's the potential that we're only 75% done with the story because she may still be alive, what would you score?
Man, this is difficult here. She conned her own parents and family.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
And retirement people.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. It's 30 million Australian.
So it's about $24 million American.
And she could have been actually it was just sitting in banks. She could have been investing it too, and actually making money. Dummy.
We talked about the S&P 500, like, and we've mentioned it there. 10%. Seriously, just put $1,000 in that, and a year later you'll have $1,100.
79.
79 again. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's not
80.
It's not risen to the case of murder. Oh.
80.
80. Yeah, that's fair. It's not risen to the point of murder, but I think the important thing, and we say, well, that they ruin people's financial lives and stuff. I think what people need to remember, when you have no money, life is kind of always terrifying.
Yes.
When you have no money, nothing to really get by, no savings, you live in paycheck to paycheck. Every little decision you make is stressful. Every move you make you have to weigh it up with well, what if later in the week, the fridge dies, or I have to go and get food, or every decision becomes a stressful moment. When you've stolen people's money and put them in that situation, that's effectively a form of torture for me, because they then have to think about everything they do. And let's also not forget that one of the victims of Bernie Madoff was his own son, who took his own life because of the stress of all this, and his other son died of cancer. So these kinds of things have multiple different knock-on effects, and I feel like Melissa Caddick, the pressure that she'll have put on these poor elderly people who shouldn't have to live out the final years of their life in financial hardship because she stole their money. I feel like 80 is fair, because yes, she didn't kill someone, but she made the last few years of what has been a very long life for these people really stressful and heartbreaking for a number of them. And also, their relatives, they have been saving that up so they can pass that on to their kids and their grandkids and stuff, and they'll never get that money.
Right.
So, fuck you, Melissa, hobbling around out there in Venezuela with one foot and a fucking Winter Soldier robot foot, or whatever it is.
Jeez.
Vibranium robot foot.
Maybe she's saving money on shoes.
She is, yeah. You're going to buy a new pair of Asics any day now. She could probably wear one of her handbags, or a pair of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll last for a long time. So that's Melissa Caddick, the Australian con person who stole $30 million from people and just let it sit in bank accounts like a fucking idiot. So I want to, again, give a special thank you to Ben. Big shout out for donating that money to our buymeacoffee.com/history's greatest idiots. We donated so much money that I felt obliged to do an episode. And actually, I'm glad he pointed me in the direction of this, because this was interesting. And also, we don't hear enough stories of cons from around the world. You know, we've covered Vietnam now. We've covered the guy up in Canada who was forging money. We covered this Australian lady now, and it's a similar story everywhere. There are con people in every part of the world, and we need to keep that in mind when you're talking to people. Don't just assume because they're from a specific country that, you know, they don't have the capacity to con you out of your money, because they do. Everyone does. So just be a little bit cautious. But thank you, Ben, for pointing me in the direction of this amazing story, and her husband, who is, man, just fascinating for all different reasons. My wife's missing. I'm going to go and get blazed with my buddy down the road, and then maybe look for her later and call the police. Maybe he waited 30 hours because he was like, man, if they call me in for questioning and test me for drugs, I'm going to fail. So
yeah,
maybe that's what it is. It's still in your hair, buddy. So that's our show for this week. If you have enjoyed this show, please go to patreon.com/history's greatest idiots, where for $3 a month you can have access to weekly updates, a bunch of pictures from when we go on trips, stuff that we don't post on social media. We go to special historic sites as well. We also post monthly exclusive recordings. You get a welcome gift for joining, an annual gift for staying with us, and access to scripts, which I've managed to figure out now, amazingly. And yeah, also we're on Instagram. If you go to History's Greatest Idiots, you can see a bunch of short form video content on there, and a bunch of memes as well. And also, if you want to watch our videos, because all of this is in video format, you can see it on YouTube at History's Greatest Idiots. But we would really prefer it if you went over to Spotify and watched our videos on the background there, because we actually get AdSense and advertising revenue from that. So please go and watch us on Spotify. It's actually helping us a little bit, you know, covering some of our costs, and we're hoping that eventually we can grow to a point where maybe Spotify give us more money. Please, Spotify, we know you're not giving musicians money. Give it to us instead. Sorry,
Yeah.
don't mean to anger the Spotify gods there. But that's our show, and we look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. But until then, Derek, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody.
We'll see you all again very soon. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. Take care now. Bye.